Another episode of What Did Snowboo Read, Watch, or Play? And boy, there's actually some good stuff. From Across the Spiderverse to Fate Grand Order, to even more Oshi no Ko, and maybe an extra or two. Let's start off as strong as possible. So Across the Spiderverse recently came out, and I'm going to just call it Spiderverse for the rest of this video because I don't want to say that over and over again. This is a sequel to the hit movie Into the Spider-Verse. The movie continues off of this story, and it goes even more into the multiverse, or Spider-Verse, I guess.
Oh my god, young man, kill yourself!
And I'm just going to give my thoughts on it because I really would prefer to not give a synopsis. I will watch this movie as soon as possible, just because the movie was incredible, and I would want to avoid spoilers, and I mean, there's a lot of spoilers online already. And just at the first one, this movie has incredible music and visuals. That was one of the biggest draws of the first movie, the visuals and the music here. They really did not hold back, and I loved every second of it. There are just so many characters that I love in this movie, like Hobie, Paviter, and anyone from the old cast like Gwen and Peter B. Like, those characters are all great. And characters like the Spot also felt fantastic. And just the concept of how Spot worked as a villain just was awesome. I'm not going to spoil how it works. If you really wanted to, you could look it up. It's not a big spoiler, but even then, I would prefer to avoid it. Humor in the movie was as great as expected, and all of the personalities for these characters just felt refreshing. The movie's as long as you expect from a superhero movie, because superhero movies have been getting longer and longer, but regardless of that, I would say that I think that this movie may be my movie of the year, which isn't really hard to be because I don't really watch that much movies. I avoided saying any spoilers, so like I said, if you do want to watch it, you just should. And in terms of favorite characters, I don't know if I'm going to do this for the rest of the things in this video, but at least for this one, my favorite character was Paviter. He was one of my favorite characters in this entire movie. I really liked his costume. They just started their split release of the 7th-ish chapter of the current storyline. There's kind of a lot of chapters in Fate. They do a chapter 5, part 1, chapter 5, part 2, chapter 5.5. They do all these weird chapters, but it's labeled as the 7th, so I'm going to call it the 7th chapter. Avalon the Play. So far, the story's been great. This has been one of the most hyped up storylines in Fate Grand Order, and I have been waiting for it for a long time because a lot of my favorite characters are actually in this story. I'm a really big fan of characters like Melusi, and I'm a really big fan of characters like Castoria and Oberon, so I couldn't wait to see them. So far, like I said, the story's been great. I know a lot of people have some really strong opinions on some certain events, like Mr. Bogart, but I do want to just mention a couple of points and not really talk about specific story beats. I really like Mash a lot, like the next person, but I am actually quite refreshed that she's not the sole character who dominates screen time in this story. She does get a lot of it, but it feels more meaningful and actually matters. Characters like Oberon and Castoria are great, and I'm actually quite happy that they're getting a lot of screen time because they're a lot more endearing than I was expecting. I also really like the idea, and just feel like the idea behind fairies existing in the chapter just feels more compelling than the people of the other chapters. In Fate so far, for people who don't know, there are multiple little pocket worlds or pocket timelines, and in these worlds, humans are not always going to be the one who dominate those worlds. And in this chapter, it's fairies who are the ones who dominate the world. In previous chapters, there were people who lived in complete control of Greek gods and other sorts of things, but the fairies just feel so different than people that I think it just makes it a more interesting situation. You very quickly see how fairies can be not very nice or be just outright inhuman. So it kind of brings into question, do we apply human logic to the fairies, especially when they treat people the way they do? I'm not sure, I don't really know, but regardless, with so many characters that I love in this chapter, I can't wait to get to know other characters who we didn't really get to know yet. I really want to get to know characters like Morgan and Melusi more, and even characters like Bob and Sith and Vargas. I just think that it'd be really cool to get to know them more, especially since people love these characters. These characters seem to be some of the most popular characters in Fate, and they're very, very new. But damn, this chapter is only a third complete, and I swear that I have read more in this Fate chapter than I have in like a year. Gacha is also extreme pain. There are like 4 gacha banners back to back to back to back, and all of them I want to roll on, but I do not have the money, and nor am I going to spend the money for this. Oshi no Ko, everyone's favorite anime, is actually ending soon. I say it's everyone's favorite. Don't take that literally. I don't want anyone getting angry at me in the comments. But it's ending soon. I enjoyed the season thoroughly. It was fantastic to me, and without a doubt, I would say that the quality is top tier. Story's as good as it was when it first started. That episode 1 I talked about last time when we did one of these anime things, and I loved the first episode. It was done fantastically. It's one of the best first episodes in anime in my opinion, and I feel like we've gone through some pretty amazing arcs so far. While we had arcs for characters like Kana, I feel like specifically the first arc and the last arc that happened with Akane have been some of the best ones. I am curious, for those who watched, though, what are your thoughts on Akane? My friends seem pretty creeped out by her, which I did not agree with, because I personally like her. Do you think that her arc was also well executed? There was a lot of discussion on Twitter, I remember, about this, but I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know in the comments. I will say Akane seems like the type of character who would be like a genius detective in like literally any other series, just because of how quickly she puts together information. Like if she was in Persona 4, the murderer would have been found within like 3 days tops. And in Danganronpa, don't even get me started with that, because I feel like she'd be solving like almost all of the cases on her own. She just is like actually insane. Lastly, this is a bit of a twist, but I actually have some stuff that I want to ask you guys. I usually don't watch or play things unless I already know about it or it gets recommended to me. So maybe you guys can help me. Let's go through some suggestions and tell me if I should play or watch these. Believe it or not, I have actually never played Breath of the Wild, so obviously I have not played Tears of the Kingdom. Both of these games are like Game of the Year type games, but I've not played either of them. Should I play Tears of the Kingdom? And if you guys are yelling at me, yes, play Tears of the Kingdom. Should I also be playing Breath of the Wild first? I've played most Zelda games, save for like Twilight Princess, so I feel like I'd enjoy it, but at the same time, I don't have much motivation. So maybe you guys can tell me and give me some motivation to play it if I really should. The Resident Evil 4 remake. So I'm going to be completely honest, I've never played an RE game, but I know how much people love RE4. So maybe I should be giving it a shot. For reference again, I have actually played Dead Space, which I feel like has a pretty similar genre to RE4. They're both like third-person horror shooters. So maybe that will help you guys in telling me if I should or should not play it. I don't know. The Mario movie came out and everyone seemed to love it. I love Mario and Mario adjacent franchises. I have not watched the Mario movie. I had a lot on my plate when it did come out, but I do now have the chance to watch it. Should I watch it or not? Take into account I did just watch Spiderverse, so maybe I should wait to watch the Mario movie. Maybe I'll judge it like too harshly. I don't really know. Again, let me know if I should or shouldn't. The last 3 I'm going to kind of group together because they're all anime that I don't really know that much about. So I have not watched Hell's Paradise, Heavenly Delusion, or Witch of Mercury. all of these are very popular and had a lot of buzz around them, but I don't really know anything about them. I don't really want to watch a show that's all style and no substance, so I guess if any of those are like that, I would appreciate the honesty. On the other hand, for something like Witcher Mercury, I've never really watched Gundam, and as a matter of fact, I don't even think I really like mecha, but if that's fine and I should still watch it, tell me and I'll give it a shot. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking with me through this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.